My name's Tommy Roush, and I'm the CCO at Infragistics.
I'm Steve Z, and I'm the product architect for our Nucleus product.
So SBVIZ is an iOS application that you can visualize any Super Bowl for the past 48 years. I'm an avid sports fan, and I always have been. So, I've always looked at stats on the computer and looked at football games and always wondered, couldn't it be done a different way, right? Because you look at it and you have to pour through all these grids and information, and you really can't see the whole game at a glance. So I was kind of sitting there thinking about, how could we do this? And it was actually during a playoff game, and I just started sketching out a few different ideas, and eventually we came up with something that seemed to work. When we broke it down, the first thought was a game is 60 minutes, and a clock is 60 minutes, right? So we started with a circle, and then a football game is broken into quarters. So the next natural step was to take that circle and divide it into 4 quadrants. So now we had the time laid out. And then the next challenge was, how do you show time of possession, and how do you show drives? So we started with a ring in the middle, and a football field is broken up into 10-yard increments, 100 yards. So we had 10 rings starting from the circle going all the way out. So once we had this, what you can do is you could actually start to visualize by color coding it where the team got the ball, how long they possessed it for, and what the outcome of the drive was. At Infragistics, we pride ourselves as being a UX company. So user experience is the key and the core to everything we do. So Indigo, what that does is it allows us to get us in the user's hands earlier. So we could very well have just gone down the path and started coding and designing the application, but we wouldn't have known how people reacted to it. So having it in Indigo, it gave us an early first look to see, does this work?
There's a different feeling when you're using a native app versus a web app. You can almost tell immediately. It's a lot more responsive. You can take advantage of the fluid animations. It feels right for the platform. What's really neat about this is the fact that we're using all of our controls, and a lot of our controls are actually shared across platforms. If you wanted to go for a web version, you can do that just the same. Our gauge control is offered there, or on a WPF or desktop environment. There's no limit to what you can do. From the time Tommy came up with the visualization to the time that we had the app, it was about 3 days. Now, the first day was actually spent coming up with the prototype for the visualization and then getting the data. The data actually was probably the longest part of the whole thing. That was a very time-consuming piece. The second day, you can look at it as wrote pretty much the whole app that entire day. And the third day was just gussying it up, making it pretty, throwing in the colors, finding the team colors, and all that good stuff. It was so easy to do. If you were to do this without our controls, you're probably looking about 4 or 5 more days just in the development. I guess we took a little bit of time off and we were just trying to figure out, is it going to be possible, is it not going to be possible? And then I thought back to a sample that I had done a while back where we made a clock out of our gauge control. And using that, we did all these different things with our ranges within there. And ranges are just little pieces that you can have take up part of the circle, so a certain area. And you can have them take different extents within inside there. What we wound up doing was taking that gauge control and using those ranges for the different slices, which actually was super easy to do. And the greatest part about all that is the fact that we didn't have to use any custom code outside of it. We didn't have to develop anything new. We were able to use what we had out of the box that any one of our customers can do today. So SBVIZ is, on top of the fact that it's using the gauge control for the visualization, the grid is actually being used in a couple of different places. As you scroll through the different visualizations of the Super Bowl games, that's a grid control being used right there. And then actually right below it, there's another grid that shows the game numbers that you can click on. And because we're using those controls, it was actually super easy to add all that stuff. We're using our controls everywhere, and we do that not because we wrote those controls, but because they're that easy to use. And I think that the key part of it was collaboration and being able to work with everyone, having an open environment, being able to share ideas with everyone working together. I mean, and the fact that we could prototype and get to and actually see something and work on it so quickly, that was key to everything.
And the key, I think too, right, is not to be too rigid, right? So when you go into something, you have an idea, you have kind of a vision of what you want to create, but if you can keep more of an open mind and have that back and forth between designer and developer, it really takes the product to a whole nother level.